videos, guys. I can outbox Anthony Joshua. I think I have the skills to outbox him, but I haven't really shown that. That's why I'm excited. This is a big stage to put on the best performance of my life. I can knock him out. I can outbox him. Words can't explain how excited we are. We're fighting in his backyard, and we're fighting under another champion who's undefeated. That makes it a great fight. Also, the opportunity to fight in front of 80,000 people. A lot of people say it's going to be overwhelming, and I'm going to be nervous and scared, but I see it differently. I see it as us making the most of the occasion. That is what WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Joseph Parker, had to say. He says he's very excited for this fight. He says that he's excited for the opportunity to fight in Anthony Joshua's backyard. He's excited to fight in this occasion of 80,000 people. He thinks it's going to bring the best out of him. He thinks he can outbox Anthony Joshua. He thinks he can knock him out. And he thinks he's going to put the best performance in his life. When it comes to me, I think that when fighters are up against guys that they think are a challenging fight, they tend to fight the best performance of their life. Or sometimes they tend to be too cautious. So we're not going to know until these guys actually fight. But I hope that, for example, Danny Garcia, when Danny Garcia was going to fight Lucas Browne, I remember a lot of people were looking at that fight as a very dangerous fight for Danny Garcia. You guys remember that? You guys remember when Lucas Browne was going to fight Danny Garcia? That was like, a lot of people were picking Lucas Browne to beat Danny Garcia. But when you saw that fight, and at that time, Danny Garcia was perceived as like a very flat-footed type of, because I remember like watching people, I wasn't making videos back then, but I remember like a bunch of people were saying that Danny Garcia is flat-footed. So because he's flat-footed, and Lucas Matisse is a guy who comes forward, he's gonna, and if you remember, he was knocking out everybody back then, Lucas Matisse. So they were saying that was going to be a bad style matchup for Danny Garcia because he's flat-footed. They kept saying he was flat-footed. And because he's flat-footed, because Danny Garcia is flat-footed, Lucas Matisse is going to get all up in his grill and he's going to knock him out. But look what happened. When that fight happened, that was like the best version of Danny Garcia I've ever saw. He fought on the back foot in that fight. He fought a type of in-and-out type of style. He was coming in, he'll throw combinations, he'll jump out. He moved. He showed a different side of his boxing ability. Right, because before then he was just known as, you know, a guy that threw a lot of hooks, you know, with his eyes closed, and a guy who was flat-footed. He wasn't really mobile. But all of a sudden he does a 360 and he's outboxing Lucas Matisse, and he pretty much schooled Lucas Matisse. That wasn't a competitive fight, but when that fight was set to happen, a lot of people thought that Lucas Matisse was going to, because a lot of people were saying Lucas Matisse was the next Manny Pacquiao. They were saying he was going to destroy Danny Garcia, and a lot of people were saying that Danny Garcia, leading up to that fight, was scared. Do you remember that? Danny Garcia was scared of Lucas Matisse. But that was the best version I've ever seen of Danny Garcia in there with Lucas Matisse. So maybe it had to do with the fact that that was a very exciting fight. And it brought out the best of Danny Garcia. Because I thought that was the best version I've ever seen of Danny Garcia. So I think that fighters tend to... I think that is true that fighters tend to want to fight the best. Sometimes they overtrain, but I think that a lot of times you see the best version of fighters when they're in there with the best, with a tough opposition. So hopefully this is true when it comes to Joseph Parker. And hopefully we do see the best version of Joseph Parker. And I definitely do think that he can knock out, if not knock him out, at least hurt him. I think he could hurt Anthony Joshua. I think Anthony Joshua has a very vulnerable chin. I think Anthony Joshua has, you know, stamina issues. I think if he is aggressive in the second half of this fight and he's throwing bombs, not just going for broke, but actually, you know, trying to land bombs, like, correctly on Anthony Joshua in the second half of these fights, I think he could definitely hurt Anthony Joshua. Dillian Whyte was able to hurt Anthony Joshua. Dillian Whyte's not a big puncher. I don't think Dillian Whyte is one of those knockout, you know, one-punch knockout artists. Dillian Whyte, whenever he's in there with a guy who's, you know, at least, if not B level, at least C level, he tends to go rounds with these guys. And the reason he tends to go rounds with these guys is because he doesn't have that one punch out knockout power. He won rounds with Dave Allen. You know, Dave Allen is a tough guy, but Dave Allen is very hittable. He's very hittable, and Dillian White couldn't take him out. Yet Luis Ortiz was able to stop him. You see what I'm saying? He won rounds with Robert Helenius. But I guess that's a whole different situation because, you know, Dillian White doesn't know how to cut the ring off properly. And that's why he struggled with Robert Helenius. Because he's not good at cutting off the ring. But, yeah, well, the point of this video is, I do think that when fighters fight guys that are deemed to be a threat to them, you tend to see the best version of them. So, hopefully we see the best version of Joseph Parker. And hopefully we see the best version of Anthony Joshua. Hopefully this ends up being not just a technical fight. I think technical fights are boring. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully this... I wish every fight could be like Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter. Honestly. I wish every fight could be like that. Because that right there was a fight of the century candidate. You know, a fight like that. Or even Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe, right? These type of fights happen when you have two young fighters who are ambitious and they really want to win a fight. Or they really want to hold on to their title. And they're willing to take risk. I think those are the best fights. I think these guys have the opportunity to fight that way if they take risk. Hopefully we get something like that. I think Joseph Parker has a dog in him. That's just my personal opinion. Because I see Joseph Parker going after guys like Yuki Fury. I've seen Joseph Parker attempt to fight on the inside against fighters. So I think he has a dog in him. And I think he has a good... I guess that's the question. I want to see how good Joseph Parker's chin is, because when he does finally attempt to go on the inside, he's going to leave himself open to getting a hit cleanly by Anthony Joshua. So if he's able to get hit cleanly by Anthony Joshua, and if he's able to take it, that's going to be, I think, the most interesting part of the whole fight, because that's when, if he's able to take Joshua's punches and he realizes I could take his punching power, I think that's when he's going to think to himself, okay, I have to go on the inside against this guy. I have to be very aggressive against this guy. I have to smother him. I know I could take his punching power, because I think you have to lean on Anthony Joshua. And when it comes to Anthony Joshua, I think Anthony Joshua has to be aggressive towards Joseph Parker, because Joseph Parker keeps saying that he's going to outbox Anthony Joshua. His whole team keeps saying he has to be mobile. So he's going to be mobile. And you have to get on the inside against him. So hopefully we get a combination of Anthony Joshua being aggressive against Joseph Parker, and Joseph Parker also taking chances against Anthony Joshua and not just running on his back foot. And yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. Let me know what you guys think of this video. If you watched the video from start to finish, as always, appreciate it. And I'm out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for daily boxing videos.